Let me introduce our guest here. Ladies and gentlemen, Marc Maron.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny. You kind of just floated in here. Like, you just like...
You
like
keep
an
saying
angel.
that about it. How do most people like come through this window?
Well, no, usually King Scott goes, our guest is here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. That guy was, I'm like, when am I on? He's like, I don't know. And then...
that was a spot on, King Scott.
And then he's like, well, let's just go. And I'm like, all right. And then you guys were surprised.
I was so happy when you walked.
Well,
I immediately started smiling when I saw you.
I know, that was exciting.
Number one, you're early.
Yeah.
You were like 2 minutes early, which is...
Never happens.
Never happens.
Well, look, one of my favorite things to do is wake up in a strange city, get into a strange car on very little sleep, and drive somewhere I don't know where I'm going.
And then be in a room with strange people.
Yeah, with people talking a lot, full of energy. They've been at it for 4 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my big plan, and it all worked out.
Good.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here this morning.
I chose to do it.
I know.
I had the option to not do it. Yeah. And the option to do something else. The call-in thing, what's the point of a call-in?
That's what I hate call-ins.
No, they're the worst. I did radio long enough to know that you can't do anything on a phone. Mm-hmm. And what am I going to sell tickets on a phone just by you asking me questions and having the slight delay and trying to get one joke in? I figure I can bomb here for 15, 20.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe have a few people return their tickets.
Well, and that was the whole thing. Hey, you want to do a phoner with Marc Maron? I go,
Yeah. I had the same experience. Who is that guy?
Rizzuto and St. Louis. And then they're like, well, could he come in? I go, could he come in? Are you kidding?
Right.
Well, that's the other thing with the phoners on morning radios. You got all you guys in here chiming in. I can't identify anybody on a phone.
Right.
And then you got to try to get them to shut up while you're talking to me. I understand the way it goes.
It's always awkward. It's always awkward.
And we want to talk. Everybody in here wants to talk to you.
I'm getting in.
I'm here to talk. I'm ready to go. But we were talking about doing morning radio before, and I used to do it. But I remember it ruined my life. Yeah. How's yours going?
My life has been ruined. My life is ruined, and it's been ruined for 14 years now.
Right. It's like you have the schedule of a preschooler, right? Yeah. You get up, and you got to go to bed by like 8:30, 9.
Yeah, when you did it.
I know.
So you'd be at the radio station at 3:30, the same time I got here.
But I didn't have a family or anything.
I got 2 kids.
I know. I don't know how you guys do it, but when I did it, they'd send a car, and I'd have them stop at Dunkin' Donuts, and I'd get like a
car sent.
Well, it wasn't a great car, and the guy was weird. Every morning, the car always smelled weird. Air America was not a big budget situation. It wasn't trickling down to the sidecar talent. So I'd have him.
It's also New York City, by the way, right?
Sure, it's New York City. I was in Queens. They're driving me in, but I'd have him stop at a Dunkin' Donuts. I'd get 2 giant coffees, and then I'd buy a bag of regular M&Ms. So right when I got on there, I just doing the M&Ms and the coffee. So I had an honest mania going by about 6:30.
Yeah.
So I was jacked.
Do you chew M&Ms or do you suck on them? This is a real question. Because, I don't.
This is code. Whatever you need.
Okay.
No,
I chew my M&Ms like a human. Who sucks on M&Ms?
I put them in my mouth and I suck like the hard,
shell off. Sure, I'll chew them up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go either way.
All right, cool.
I can. I'll go both ways with M&Ms.
Thanks, Mark.
I'll suck them for a minute, then chew them. Depends how I feel. What I want the sort of distribution of sugar to be.
Yes.
Yeah. He'll slap his M&Ms around a little bit.
A little bit, but only with consent. I'll ask first.
Of course.
Right?
100%.
2023.
Never the green
Jeez.
ones.
All I know is I gave a thumbs up to a Walgreens driving by. Yeah, like I have a thing when I go on the road where I like to go to Walgreens. I don't know why.
Me too.
You do?
I like to go in the made-for-TV aisle in there.
Oh, is
they always have the weird aisle in Walgreens.
Yeah, there's always a couple weird aisles. I like the travel size. I just like looking at travel sizes. It makes me feel big.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll go in and get some mouthwash. But I saw CVS, and it was a real thing. I'm driving over here. I'm a little loopy because I'm tired. But I saw the CVS. I'm like, nah. And then a few miles away, there's a Walgreens. I'm like, yes. Thumbs up to nobody on the Walgreens.
So you're all jacked up on Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, and M&Ms.
You get to the radio station, do your prep.
I do a little prep, but when I got into that, it was what it was. It was a kind of a liberal talk radio situation. But going into Air America, I didn't know a lot about politics. I'm a kind of a reactive person, so it's fairly surfacey, which is what we live in now, which is just you kind of yell emotionally about things from whatever side you're on. Yeah. But it was funny because the guy who produces my podcast has been with me since Air America. So I met that kid, my producer, when he was 24. He's been producing me since I started radio, and now it's just our business. But when I got there, I had bought an American Democracy for Dummies book. So I thought, like, I'll get up to speed. I'll figure this out. I didn't pay attention in high school, but I got this book, and I'm just
gonna wing it, basically.
Well, that's what I learned to do, and that's how you figure out whether you can do this or not. Is that eventually there were first there were three of us. There was this woman who was a British woman, me, and Mark Riley, and I was supposed to be the funny guy,
the comic relief,
whatever it was, the guy, the laughing guy, so or the guy making jokes, but. It became very clear that because of my personality that I could drive the thing, and then eventually, like, I hate talking about this, but not really.
You became the lead.
I became the lead, which wasn't a problem for me and Mark Riley. But the woman, Sue, she went on vacation very shortly after we started. And I'm like, this is our time. We can take this show.
Like
yeah. We could do this show, man. And because she was kind of dragging us down.
And was she like the radio professional? Did they
it wasn't clear to me from the get-go what she was, really. But she would talk in this way that it was just, and it's not an unusual talent for radio people to just talk about nothing. Look, I mean, Adam Carolla's been talking about the same drywalling job he had for 30 years, and that, and vaccines, but whatever.
Very successful.
Kind of. He's kind of marginalized himself. I don't know what he is, but the point is that this woman could talk about nothing for a very long time, and we'd have to wait because we were being polite, and I had never done radio. And when she got out, me and the other guy, Mark, just had this rhythm going, and I'm like, this is it, And it was a comedy show. Yeah. We overproduced a lot of comedy.
Do you think you were put in that role? Remember when Dennis Miller was doing Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Like, let's put a comic in with the two serious guys.
Someone's just making fun of that. Who was I talking to? Some comics were talking about how, I think it was Spade. Hilarious. It was Spade. I was talking to Dave Spade at some party, and he was talking about Miller on the football and how kind of bad it was. Because he would throw in his references.
He's making like 14th century.
Right. And the other guys are like, what is he doing? What is he talking about?
He was referencing like the Cossacks and Monday Night Football.
This guy looks like a Russian soldier. Not
the audience. The Mongols. Mm-hmm. And it did not work. But here's my worry, Mark. And you did morning radio for how long? A year?
A year and a half or so. And then I did a night show that was sort of a sad situation. Because I got fired right when Stern kind of went off terrestrial, where we had a window in New York at least. Yeah. They fired me because the CEO they brought in thought I wasn't serious enough. And we were doing a funny show, man. We were recording bits. We were up doing comedy. So I got fired, and then I moved back to L.A., and as a favor, there were some guys within Air America that thought they could get me back in. So they stuck me on at KTLK out in L.A. At a 10 p.m. show. And the GM at KTLK hated me because Stephanie Miller used to come on in that market after us. So we used to do live and then be played in Los Angeles again. So we had the Los Angeles morning spot, but then Stephanie Miller kind of took it over live. And I would outro my show knowing that we'd been brought to the air by Stephanie, just, throwing, just taking shots at Stephanie. I'd be closing my show knowing it. And that GM hated me. So he stuck me in this 10 o'clock position and they had a sports contract with the Clippers.
Oh, so you get preempted.
No, we would wait to start the show. We would sit there hoping that the game it was the worst, man. It was, I did mornings for a while.
But see, for me, and that schedule, going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock, getting up at 2:30, not healthy.
No, dude, you feel like you've been in a pillow fight all day. You're just
healthy.
Like your brain never works, right?
I just turned 45.
Yeah. Oh, you can tell.
I know.
It's wearing you out.
That's a brilliant way to put it.
Yeah.
Like breaking it down, man.
Like you've been in a pillow fight.
It does. It feels like that, right?
It's brilliant. Yeah. That is a brilliant, perfect way to describe what I've been trying to articulate for 10 years.
Wow. I think I've used that a lot, but I don't think anyone understands it except radio people.
Totally. It feels like I've been hit in the head with many pillows.
Right.
Some mornings you have headaches for no reason.
Right.
Like you get up and you have a headache for I don't know why.
It's not a reasonable
I think
schedule.
I'm dehydrated.
You always feel like you're getting the flu.
Well, what you feel like is a mild hangover.
Yeah.
And you can never make it right. I'm sorry you're going through that.
No, now I'm thinking
Thank you.
Get us out of this
He's doing okay with it.
Is it low T? Is that what I had? Do I have low T? I'm not sure. But is it just...
Did you get your T checked?
I did.
I was surprised. I just had him do it because people talk about it. It's like a thing for dudes. get your teeth
And
checked.
everything's all right?
1,002.
What does that mean?
Look at you.
Yeah,
That's
big.
good.
That's super tea.
Yeah, it's super. But I asked my doc, does this mean anything?
Too much
You're
tea.
It's too much tea.
Yeah, you're over tea. You're Mr. T.
I'm super alpha.
Well, when the doc goes, oof.
That's why you peed on me when you came in the room.
That's what I do. I don't know why I was so
Floated in.
surprised.
They
I
left that part out.
I
He
slipped
floated.
right in. I pissed on your leg.
This is the comedian in the room.
Yeah.
Dominance.
Yeah.
From all those
You know,
pillow
I've got
fights.
1,000 teas. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I don't know how you.
I was glad.
I kind of counter it with the vegan diet. I'm not your average
Oh, you're nearly
alpha
vegan.
madman.
Why did
7
you want to
months.
go vegan?
Well, you want to hear this whole story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did a cleanse. Well, that's not exactly true. I got a colonoscopy, and there's a cleanse involved in that. I don't know if you've had one. It's a very aggressive cleanse. It's not juice based, but this is not a bad medical story. And usually the colonoscopy beat gets a laugh, but I'm not going to pressure you guys.
The cleanse is not terrible, by the way.
Did you do the pills or do you have to drink the slush?
You drink this stuff,
Yeah.
and it's just sort of So anyway, after that, I thought, well, I'm pure. I'm a clean slate.
Start over.
Yeah, right. This is a new day. I'm not going to put anything bad into my body from here on. Also, I had slightly high cholesterol, so I figured I'd take the opportunity to see if it was genetic or because of what I was eating. So I went vegan, and within 2 weeks, I had a blood test just by coincidence. I was on 10 milligrams of statin. This is exciting stuff. I have a friend.
No, I've heard you talk about this on the
Yeah, I have a
podcast.
friend at my age, another guy who's around my age. He says, all right, just 10 minutes on health talk, and then we're talking about other stuff. So it turns out like 2 weeks I was on the statins, and my cholesterol went down like 30 points.
Great.
So then I said, well, I'm just going to keep at it. And I kept at it. And now, like, I went to the doctor recently. It's definitely genetic, but it's not bad. But that was the point. I don't love the vegan thing. I don't mind it. But I'm going to stay with it.
Craving?
No, not
meat
at all. I think I've eaten enough meat. I'm 59. I've eaten enough meat in my life. I think if you really think about how much meat you've eaten at a certain age, it's probably a pretty good sized farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of think about that. But it's not totally ethical. But I'm going to stay vegan because when you're vegan, you know in a pretty real way that you're better than other people.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
you can't argue it.
No.
People are like, hey, but you need me. Like, is that you talking or you've been brainwashed by big meat?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about being vegan is bragging about being vegan. So
Well, I don't do it too much except on the radio in the morning. But no, I don't mind it because I cook a lot and there's a sort of a challenge to it. And I think I do feel better. I took off weight. And my blood sugar went down. I don't know why that happened, but it's I don't mind it.
you don't miss a hamburger.
Well, they have fake burgers that aren't bad.
Yeah, Impossible meat's great.
Yeah, I do the Beyond Burgers. They're okay. Yeah, well, you look at you. Of course, you're gonna be like, nah.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm disgusting.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I mean, I had Traeger sent me a grill, a smoker, and I was smoking, bone-in ribeyes, chicken.
Yeah, talk to me, Daddy.
Yeah, and I can do it. I was smoking briskets for 12 hours. I have no judgment of that. I loved it, but I'm one of these guys, like, I'm in this thing. Like, look, I've been sober a long time, so, and I'm not, it's not a mental thing. It's sort of like, you start a day count going, I'm like, I'm gonna hold on to this. Yeah. I'm not, and so I'm kind of in that zone with the vegan thing. I'm like, I'm doing it. And I know because the day I don't, if I stop and I'm just sort of like, I'm just going to have fish occasionally, I'll be at the smoker again within 3 days.
It's gateway meat.
Gateway meat is brisket, I think, right?
Yeah.
The collective tea in here is at 12,000, by the way, just from this meat conversation.
Well,
alone.
and don't tell me,
I think my tea's going up.
Mine
Just
is.
talking about
No,
it.
talking about veganism, it goes down.
I'll who's the guy
My
with
tea goes
1002 tea as a vegan?
This guy, yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
I didn't hear your number, tough
That's
guy.
right.
You out-teamed me by a lot, actually.
That's my problem. My bloodstream's 80% pork steak.
It's just
I gotta
meat.
if I eat a stalk of broccoli, I'll
Yeah.
just walk around fully erect all day.
Well, don't tell me, by the way, I put a portobello on the grill and it tastes just like meat. No, it doesn't.
No, it tastes like a portobello, but it's delicious. None the same.
I don't know why I don't miss meat. I can't explain it really. I imagine I will eventually, but I don't know. It's just getting weird with the meat. I just was eating a lot of meat and I was aware of it. When you start doing the bone-in ribeyes, after a point, it gets pretty hard to deny that they rip that out of the side of a cow.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying that to make anyone sad.
I'm not sad.
Good. You gave me the serious face, though. I don't even know you, but I read it as serious. It was definitely
That's
a
just his
serious.
face.
That's his
Yeah,
normal
this is kind of my
face.
Got
face.
nothing against meat. I enjoyed meat, and I imagine maybe it'll come back, but right now it's not here.
Yeah, you're afraid a piece of steak will lead you.
I'm not
a
afraid.
bad road.
I'm not afraid of steak. I'm not afraid of chicken.
Down a bad road.
I'm not afraid of challenging meats.
What a great TMZ moment, though, if I fought Marc Maron over bone-in ribeye.
Only if we did it
on the air.
Only if we did it with bone-in ribeyes.
Tomahawk ribeyes.
Yeah, just like smacking each other around with raw meat.
All right, so after your radio career kind of fizzled out, then we started the podcast in 09.
Fizzled. It was an abrupt out. It was not a fizzle. We started the podcast?
09, right?
Yeah, 09. Yeah, that was it. It was a desperation. Yeah, well, yeah, it was freedom, sure. Yeah, it definitely was, and there was no podcast around. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
and,
one of the firsts, right?
I mean, there were some around, but Adam was doing his, and I think Doug Benson had one, and Jimmy Dore, and All Things Common, Jimmy Pardo, but no one was making money except for Adam because he was basically running a radio show.
Was the goal like, all right, we're going to put this out there and start making money?
No, I didn't know what the goal was. I was like, my career was in the garbage. I had nothing going on. I had this skill, and then I told my producer that I said to Brendan, I was like, can we just do this? Can you figure out how to put this up on the internet? And at that time, Apple was very supportive because podcasts were really invented to sell iPhones and iPods. So any celebrity presence, even if it was me at that time, they'd banner it, So we just kind of figured it out. And over time, the industry kind of built up around us. And then, people went on to make $100 million. But I do all right.
But you weren't.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a $100 million guy.
You didn't want to go back on the road, or were you still on the road, doing comedy?
Well, I mean, at that time, my road draw was limited. I wasn't really a draw. I was a headliner, but I couldn't really sell tickets. I wasn't that popular. And what happened with the podcast is as that kind of picked up, people got to know me. And the good thing for me about podcasting is I don't have to be funny. I can just talk, and I like to do this. So I got this whole other fan base. It kind of built out. Most of the political people, we chose not to do politics because I didn't want to be stuck in that world with those same people whining about the same things. And I wanted to expand the audience a little bit. So we broadened it out. We talked about general stuff. Our guests the show was different at the beginning, but it built me a new audience of people that knew too much about me.
Yeah.
So I'd go on the road, and these people would be like, well, we should go out and support Mark. I'm like, I know how to do comedy. I'm not looking for support. And then they'd come up to you and like, did you get that thing fixed at the house, the toilet? And I'm like, what are you talking? Oh, yeah, you know about that.
But you're so, you're so natural, especially at the interviewing. I consider you one of the better interviewers around now.
Yeah. Thank you.
I listened to an interview with Bernie Taupin the other day.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Which, and you brought up a great point because he said to you at the beginning of the podcast, he goes, oh, I guess you didn't read my book.
Yeah. And I said, no, I didn't read it. Why would I read it? Because if you read the book, unless you're going to talk to somebody that doesn't know how to talk, which is possible.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize, and you know it as a radio guy, is that sometimes you got to carry people. And like in terms of like, you got a comic coming in, I know what it's like on morning radio. You don't know if this guy, he's a funny guy, but is he awake? Is he going to want to talk?
We've had some people walk through these doors and just not want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know why guys do that. It's like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to prove? Like that you can get up and survive something? But anyway, so Bernie, with the books, I'm not going to read the book if the guy can talk, because if you read the book, you're going to lead him, and you can't help it because in your brain, you're like, it's hard not to be like, well, in the book, and then my producer's got to cut them all out. Yeah, because it's got to be a real conversation. So I usually am pretty honest. I said, no, I didn't read the book. I skimmed through it. I saw some names and stuff, but he knew how to talk. That guy was good.
He was great.
Yeah,
you've had some really great guests, and
it's been good lately, oddly, because of the strikes, because I can get back into we're at a fairly precarious moment in our democracy, and so like it's interesting now because I'm not doing a lot of actors, and it's not that I don't like doing actors, but too many actors, it's a lot of heavy lifting. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? For an hour?
Well, they're not used to opening up. They're used to going on to late night.
And depending who they are, especially the actresses, the women who get piled on, anything a woman does as a public person, especially actors, like if you look at comment boards, they can't not get just destroyed out there for some reason because there's a lot of pigs. And so they've become very cagey, and it's almost hard to get actresses. They've got to really kind of know how to present themselves publicly because they don't want to give any bait to weirdos.
Yeah.
And it becomes sort of tricky. But yeah, some actors are a little more, I can usually get them within an hour. If somebody's holding back for an hour, then that's who that person is. Usually about 20 minutes in and something will give.
And how cool is it to just come to your house? Like,
it is kind of wild when people walk into the house.
People just come to your house.
The new garage is a little different than
President
the old garage.
Obama came to your garage.
That was the old dirty garage, too. I'm in a new
I was
place.
just looking at pictures of that.
That was totally insane.
And that was while he was president.
Yes, I think I'm the guy. In terms of sitting presidents, I might be still the only. I think Biden's done a couple, but I don't know if anyone paid attention. But I had the first sitting president on a podcast at my house.
That's wild.
In the garage.
What was
What
was the security situation
what
there?
are the logistics behind that?
Oh, it was crazy. I've told this story a bit, but I don't need to preface it like that. You've never heard it. So I guess what I'm saying is let me go into this old bit.
It's fascinating, Mark.
No, I know it is, man. And I wasn't judging. There's a lot of people listening now in their cars that are just waiting with bated breath to hear about the security situation. But it was crazy. You don't know about it? You honestly don't know about it?
No,
You've heard me talk about it.
I've kind of.
He's kind of heard about
God.
it. No. It was amazing. I don't mind telling the story because what they do is a couple weeks before he comes. The funny thing about it was Brendan, my producer, they had scheduled this thing for when I was supposed to be in Hawaii or was close to a trip I had. And I told Brendan, I said, oh man, I'm going to be on vacation. And he kind of took it at that point. And then it turned out it wasn't on my vacation. And I said, lucky it didn't go on my vacation. He says, my producer said, there was no way you were going to go on vacation.
Right. Yeah, are you serious?
It's the president of the United States.
Can you do an interview and you're going to go on vacation?
Savage.
So, they come early on. The Secret Service comes a couple weeks before to figure out what the perimeter is, to figure out, where they can put this weird box. That was the eeriest thing. They install a box in my house, and I only had 2 bedrooms, like 1,000 square foot house. It was just this weird box that was plugged into a wall, and that was for if all communications went down, then he would be able to get a line. So they got to run a separate line into the house if the world ends.
If there's a national emergency.
Right.
Wow.
So they come and they figure out where
your house would be the hub.
Right. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Wow.
Yes.
I've never heard about that.
So then I got to ask my neighbor Dennis if well, apparently what had happened was I wasn't there. I was on vacation. Right. Brendan was there. The Secret Service came to figure out where to put the snipers.
Yeah.
So they tried the top of the garage. So they got on the top of this old garage, and apparently they're jumping around on it, and Brendan's in the garage and comes out. No, it's the ceiling's coming down. So we can't put it there, right? Because I live sort of on this hill. It was not an easy perimeter. So I had to ask my neighbor if it was okay to put snipers on his roof. And this old guy's like, it's the biggest thing ever happened to him. He was thrilled. He's looking forward to it.
The president's going to be over. Can we put snipers on your roof?
My dad's name is Dennis, and I am picturing him in my mind having
He would love it, right? He would love it.
He would do it. My dad would be like, you don't need snipers. I'll get up there.
Yeah, that's my dad, too. I want to be up there, too.
He would happily do it.
So when the day comes, they tent the driveway, so they make sort of a tunnel. They close off all the traffic in the neighborhood. And then there's about, they set up a listening table. So we had to set up 5 or 6 listening stations for his staff. And then we're waiting for the president. And the guy, one of the Secret Service guys says, I'll give you 20 minutes heads up. But then, in the air, he flew in from Beverly Hills and the 2 Ospreys that kind of escort the helicopter, the presidential helicopter.
Marine One.
Right. We saw Marine One in the air, and I'm like, I guess he's close, right? Because there he is. So they flew it from Beverly Hills, and they landed at the Rose Bowl in the parking lot, which is close to my house. And then they had the motorcade come up the hill, and it was kind of amazing because I'm standing in front of the garage, and then all these cars pull up in front of the house, and there's a lot of people coming at me, and I don't really see Obama, and then all of a sudden I just see this hand go, Mark, and I'm like, there he is,
yeah.
There's the president, and I said to him, what I say. I said, hey, how you doing? I hope this goes well. He says, yeah, me too, And then I asked him, there was only one Secret Service guy in the garage behind me, and then everyone else was out and around. And the amazing thing about Obama, which was a testament to who he was as a not just as a president, but as a person who is capable of having a conversation, is that they gave us final edit. They didn't. You
I was
know,
going to ask you, was there any parameters given? Like,
no, but
can't talk about this,
Brendan,
can't
my
talk about
producer,
that?
is like a very sharp guy. He's a very bright guy, and he's done a lot of producing of political shows. We knew that I couldn't exactly do it the way that I usually do. We knew that it wasn't. I didn't want it to be a political show. I wanted it to be personal because that's the type of interview I did. But he also knew we had a tight hour, and I had to have a path. I had to have a breakdown, which I don't usually do. And there were things happening. It was days after that guy, Root, shot all those African Americans in that church.
Charleston.
Yeah, it was days after that. So we didn't even know if Obama was going to come because it was heavy. And then there was some Supreme Court stuff coming down. So there was stuff we had to cover before we got into the personal stuff. But we did have a breakdown. But again, they didn't edit us.
Wow.
And then, in talking about race, well, here's the funny thing is I said to him, when he got on the mics, I said, "Are you nervous?" He said, "If I was nervous about this, we'd be in big trouble."
Yeah, this is what got me nervous. Talking to a man in his garage.
Right.
And he had gone to Occidental, which is down the street from my house. So there was a point of contact with the neighborhood and stuff. But in talking about race, he used the N-word sort of, as like, racism doesn't end just because people stop saying the N-word.
Yeah.
And that blew up everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Like the conservative press was sort of like, he used it, why can't we use it? So it was kind of a frenzy around that. And again, my producer managed it very well, because they were out in front of my house. And Brendan was like, "You're not doing anything." We made a promise to Chris Hayes that we would talk about this on his show, and to Terry Gross, and we will talk to her. Everyone else gets nothing. And we held the line. And it was all kind of amazing. And but I don't. President Obama and I are not in touch. We don't text or anything. But I felt like
cards, sent back and forth.
No,
every
I'm
year,
sort of surprised. Nothing. But
he leaves your house and out of your life forever.
Just like that. And I don't even know if that's another problem I have in terms of people I interview. I'm still this guy who is sort of a fan of people and don't really know my place in the world. So I always assume I'm just another stop on junkets when I see actors and stuff. And it's always amazing to me when they know me. Like I went to. I was at the Vanity Fair Oscar party. I didn't go to the Oscars a couple of years ago. It must have been 4 years ago when Brad Pitt won, know. And I'm at this Oscar party, and I'm like, oh, there's everybody, half the people I've interviewed. I don't know if they know me, And then I see Brad Pitt. He's getting ready to leave. I'm like, hey, Brad. He's like, Mark!
So do you have imposter syndrome?
No, I don't know if I have imposter syndrome, but I do know what it's like to be a guest on things. And if you were to ask me if I remembered the people, like, am I going to remember you in a week?
I hope so.
No, I think I will, because we had a nice conversation about testosterone and meat.
Well, before you leave, I do want to talk about the big news.
Am I leaving?
No.
I don't have to. I have nothing to do.
He's gonna remember being kicked out early.
Can you hang?
Yeah.
Okay, so we could take a commercial break and then we could
talk about the fentanyl alien.
Yeah, I want to talk about aliens next. All right, the great Marc Maron is here. See him at Helium Comedy Club tonight, 8 o'clock, tomorrow, 7:30 and 10, Saturday, 7:30 and 10. We're going to talk about aliens next.
Guess whose birthday it is? Happy birthday, Riz. It's Adam Ferrar, and you're listening to The Rizzuto Show on 105.7 The Point. Blow those friggin' candles out, will you?
It's not my birthday, Mark. Just so you know.
My birthday is September 27th.
Happy birthday.
Coming up, man, the big 6-0. That guy, Marc Maron's here.
What is that, Libra?
I am a Libra, yeah. The weird thing about these dates, I'm trying to build this new hour, so I'm doing the club work, and my agent, Joseph Schwartz, booked me this weekend here in St. Louis. As a Jew, I realized, why are my ticket counts a little low? Because maybe it's Rosh Hashanah. Maybe I just like to offer all the Jews out there, and I know there are some in St. Louis, that if I need to do an opening prayer for you to come to the show, I could probably figure it out.
I'm an honorary member of the tribe.
Are you?
Some pull.
You got some pull?
Yeah, I married a Jewish woman. We're from
You're
the East
Italian?
Coast. Yeah.
Italian and a Jew. Classic.
Yeah, listen, we went to Israel a couple of years ago.
How was that?
It was great. I loved it.
It's interesting. I went to Israel years ago, and I found the other religion's history much more interesting than mine.
I loved it.
Yeah, I found all the 7 stations of the cross.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff. I walked the whole Jesus walk. I did the whole thing, and then they had the Dome of the Rock on and then the Jewish stuff.
We went from Golan Heights down to the Dead Sea.
Yeah,
we did the whole.
Did you float around, and put mud on yourself?
I did.
How do you feel? Did it change everything?
No, it didn't change much.
No.
I'm like, wow, I'm buoyant.
You're buoyant, and then I go on the beach. I cover myself with mud. I guess maybe if you had ayahuasca to that, then
it was
maybe
cold. It was freezing when we were down in Eilat, and it hadn't rained in Israel in like 10 years. And the 2 weeks we were there, it rained like crazy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And it was raining in the desert when I went there.
But when you're in Israel, it's always you have to go like, is this a sign? Is this the next one?
Yeah, I'm waiting for locusts.
Where's the ark? I need to get on.
Jerusalem was great. I love the food there. I like the people there.
Sure. There's a little bit of tension in the region generally that I felt.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
What's that about?
I don't know. No one knows. But it's been going on a long time.
I kind of like that. Everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
Everybody's smoked everywhere, too.
You should move to New York.
I'm from New York.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. In about 3 years, everyone's going to be on edge everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
Well, listen.
Yes, sir.
As a New Yorker, here's what we called Rosh Hashanah. It was Rosh Homa.
Uh-huh.
Because everybody was trying to leave the city early.
Oh, that's funny.
On Friday.
That's pretty funny.
So the West Side Highway.
That's pretty funny.
We call it Rosh Homa, so you don't want to be on the highways.
Sure. What were we talking about before the break? Not the political conversation.
I was asking you. I was asking you if there's any guests, and you've done how many episodes?
1,500 something.
1,500. Yeah. Has there ever been anybody before they've come on, their publicist says, "Hey, we don't want you talking about this"?
Well, yeah, I mean, people are managed a bit, and then certain people have things in their lives that, sometimes it's disappointing. How can we not talk about the time he killed a guy?
Right.
But
we'd rather you not.
Could you not bring up the murder? He's touchy about that. But no, I haven't interviewed Alex Baldwin, but it's only a matter of time. But there are things. Yeah, that people say, but I'm not, when you pre-record a show, I'm not in the sandbagging business, so I can usually work around it. And a lot of times people are kind of funny. You know what I mean? I think what the funniest thing about some people is, like, I had Roger Waters on once, and he comes.
Fascinating guy.
He is. He's an angry, weird dude.
Yeah.
And he's got these chips on his shoulder. One's about his dad, and the other one is about, I think, really the fact that that guy and almost any member of Pink Floyd can walk anywhere in the world and not be recognized. Yeah. And they're one of the biggest rock bands that ever lived. Yeah. But, he gets on the mics and he's like, I don't want to talk about Pink Floyd. I'm like, then what are we going to do?
Right.
Yeah. But what are we going to talk about?
But the truth is within a few minutes, if you just do the right questions, they can't shut up about whatever. He's throwing Gilmore into the bus in 10 minutes. And a lot of times people will talk. But there are some things that, we respect it because we're, an interview show. We're not looking for a gotcha moment. And when they do happen, to be honest with you, it pisses my producer off because it diminishes the show. Like we had that problem with Sam Elliott. Like there was a big to-do when Sam Elliott was on because of what he said about the power of the dog. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, and it wasn't any planned thing. It was towards the end of this interview with Sam Elliott that I had to do a lot of research on because, no one thinks of Sam Elliott as like, that guy's probably interesting to talk to. But
Sam Elliott's a guy from Big Lebowski.
Sam Elliott's
Mask.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's a fixture, and he's a real guy, and he had an interesting history in Hollywood, and we had a pretty good interview about the arc of it. He was in a weird movie in the 70s called Lifeguard. It was this very odd 70s movie where he's just this guy who's too old to be a lifeguard who's still a lifeguard, and he wants to be a lifeguard, and there's kind of a questionable relationship with a teenager.
I was expecting 45 minutes on his mustache.
Nope. It was like one of his first movies. But innocently, towards the end of the interview, I asked him, as a guy who does westerns, what he thought of the power of the dog, and he just went off on it.
Yeah.
He said some homophobic stuff. He said some, and we had to. And I didn't set him up for anything. I liked the movie.
There he is in that movie. Look at that.
There you go. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Baywatch on a mustache.
Still had a mustache. Look at that hairy chest. That was so in back then.
It's kind of a slightly disturbing movie, but so he did that, and we put it on, and it got him into trouble with everybody. And then
that's not your fault.
No, I know, but he tried to hang it on me a little bit when he was apologizing for it, but it wasn't my fault. But when that happens, in terms of what I do, is then the publicist for that guy and whoever else she handles is now like, I'm not sending anyone over there.
Yeah,
and I even do that. So
a lot of the times the publicist does it on their own and doesn't even tell.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, that's true too. But also, we're not above if somebody wants something out. Some people have asked for things out. Like today on the show, I talked to Hannah Einbinder.
Mm-hmm. She's great.
She's great, and she's funny and she's nice and she's touring and she wanted to come on But when people want stuff out, it's never what you think it is. It's always because they've said something about somebody else that they just thought was unnecessary. Yeah. It's rarely anything controversial. It's really almost always personal.
A name drop.
Right.
Yeah. And again, I don't want anybody coming in here thinking they're going to get sandbagged because I'm inviting somebody into the house. It's inviting somebody to your house, and then
things happen though. In live radio, you can't put it back in the can. I mean, I'm taping. I can't tell people like, nope, it's done. Can't go back now.
I think something aside from your interviews, because you are such a great interviewer, the first couple of months into COVID, I feel like having your voice was so comforting to me. So even when you don't have somebody in the garage with you, just those times where you were talking about your fears and anything that was going on in your life during that time, like during the beginning of all this chaos, like,
it's crazy,
was insanely comforting to me because you were saying everything that I was thinking. And nobody else really wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like just having you let your free thoughts just go was some of my favorite Marc Maron.
Well, thanks.
pieces.
Were you watching the Instagram lives too?
I was.
Oh, well, that was crazy. I was basically doing a live morning show on Instagram during COVID, and it got a little crazy. But it seemed to help a lot of people. It's all very weird to me that now, what are we, a year past it, kind of, the pandemic, but it's people will still, and this is not being political. We went through this thing for 3 years as a world, and it was horrendously traumatic. We're all on the spectrum of PTSD because of it, and it's had a permanent impact on our lives. But people are like, no, you don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Don't bring up COVID. It's like people are talking about Hillary Clinton like she's important, but the COVID thing.
2020, 2021 didn't happen.
COVID is our World War II.
Yeah.
It's dissociating as a whole.
It broke a lot of brains, man.
Dude, we're all like our grandpas.
It also exposed a lot of people. Exposed who was a little cuckoo and we didn't know.
But that, not only that, publicly in terms of, the divisiveness of and the kind of leveraging of vaccines, but just people at home on their own, lonely and on the computer, it broke a lot of brains.
Yeah.
And they're not coming back.
No, we lost them.
Yeah, we lost them to doing their own research.
Well,
be careful with the doing your own research, people.
I think there's one thing we all could agree on is the fact that aliens exist now, and there's proof.
And there's proof.
Because the big story,
we did our own research.
We've done the research.
It looks like you guys went deep.
UFO fans are going nuts over this.
Reuters, bud.
On Tuesday, Mexico held its first congressional hearings on UFOs, and a longtime UFO enthusiast unveiled what he claims are actual fossilized remains of 2 dead aliens. They're small, less than 2 feet tall.
Come on.
They do look like aliens, yes, or at least not like.
They look like aliens that an art class made in high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're thousands of years old, though, aren't they? When are these from?
The carbon dating shows fossils. The fossils were between 700 and.
Where was this carbon dating done?
They looked at the ID, right, on the alien?
Look at that. People want this. They want it. Like I said before, it looks like it's made out of meth or fentanyl, and that's a shipment.
Don't you feel like, though, we've been talking about aliens for so long in our lives that this is the unveiling. This is it. But we're so jaded now that we're not amazed. We're not running in the streets losing our mind. This is aliens.
No, it's not. Okay.
Let's say it's aliens and not fentanyl.
Do you think we could handle it?
Can we handle this?
That?
No. If there was really definitive, Mark. Okay, this is garbage. If there was really definitive proof,
that
they are here. Let's.
I'm not sure. I'm not one.
Can we as a society handle the fact that there is extraterrestrial life and that we have proof of it?
Well, they'd have to really put on a show. You know what I mean? If they're going to be aliens, do some tricks. It's not enough that we find bits and pieces and the idea of them and things flying through the air. Give us a show.
I need to hear Bigfoot speak. I want to ride Loch Ness Monster.
I would like it if they just came down and scared the hell out of the entire planet and forced us to behave better. That's always my dream. It's sort of like, all right, you guys, you kind of screwed up. We'll give you another chance. Yeah. And then they leave. But it'd only be a matter of weeks.
It would only be a matter of weeks.
Then they'd be like, we got to go kill those things.
We'd all, that's what I think the first thing would happen is we'd probably try to shoot at it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then we find out about their weapons that we don't even know about yet.
Well, that's the best way to find out what they have.
Yeah.
Shoot at them first.
Shoot at them first.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about aliens. I don't know why, because I do. It's a little suspect that there's all this talk right now, given the state of BS in the world. That all of a sudden now it's like we think we got them. Like why now?
Right.
Well, these were unearthed in Peru.
Look at them unveiling the boxes.
They're unveiling the boxes.
Congress.
We've got a video going.
Nice
This
boxes.
is in Mexican Congress.
But they look exactly like Peruvian, ancient Peruvian statuettes of gods and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. They don't like listen to me, the archaeologist. I've done a lot of research on Peruvian artifacts.
They said in the article this has happened before, and
Yeah.
it turned out to be like the bodies of children.
Yeah, they were
like
mummies.
skull
God.
binding.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, my
They were
God.
old mummified
they
children.
Bound,
Yeah.
bound the skull.
But
I like the
these are
little
clearly
boxes.
aliens.
I like how they're museum ready. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they are.
Well, I, for one, welcome our alien overlords.
Yeah.
Like that they
I'm
came in
at
the same box.
I'm at your service. Whatever you guys need.
You know, that's one of the greatest scenes in what's that movie, Independence Day? Is that
Yeah.
the only the greatest, most hilarious moment in that movie is all those, kind of like, take us with you. They're on the
Right.
top of the building. We love you. And they just blow them.
Yep.
They died first.
I think that was quite a comedic.
That's
Well,
what I
again,
would
I'm
be.
at your service, whether it be aliens or AI. I got you guys.
Right.
The AI thing, I can't wrap my brain around either. It doesn't seem good.
Has anybody asked you for your brain for AI yet? Like your books?
Don't they
your-
just take them?
they?
I don't know if
Just
there's
take
a.
it.
It's,
I think they just
it's
take
just
it.
out there.
If it's on the internet, there it's now,
Anything you've ever done that's out there, that's how the AI kind of wrangles a you.
Yeah.
Your brain has been viciously combed many times.
Especially
Yeah.
yours with
Matt-
thousands of
Matt-
episodes. Your voice is
Exactly.
out there.
Someone sent me some stuff. They asked a Marc Maron AI to write some material, and he sent me the material. It wasn't bad. I just hope that they fake me as good luck with it. And,
Didn't we hear a new quote unquote Beatles song that
Yeah.
was AI?
No, it was Oasis. We did
We
hear
heard
that,
a
that
Beatles
Beatles
one.
one, but that Oasis record that they did was freaking sweet.
The AI Oasis?
AI Oasis
Yeah.
was really good.
I don't like the way people are so comfortably talking about AI so quickly. Like no one's sort of like this AI. Yeah, a lot of people are freaked out about it. But I talked to some guy shooting a doc, and he's like, "Yeah, we use AI all the time. Like it's just there." I don't know that we should be comfortable with it. Elon Musk, who's a monster, is nervous about it. If he's nervous, we should be nervous because he's doing it.
When should we feel comfortable?
Huh? Well, it's already happened. When you do a Google search, that's AI. It's just a very more primitive version of it.
I actually just typed in to ChatGPT, if Marc Maron were to go on one of his signature rants about aliens, what might it sound like?
Oh.
And
Can I read it?
Up to that. You want to read it out? So
You want to read it in your
is?
voice? Yes.
This is great.
This is
You don't have to
awesome.
do it all. Let's just see what.
All right, folks, let's get into it. Aliens. Yeah, I said it. Aliens. You've got people who believe these beings are going to come down and impart some sort of celestial wisdom or maybe gift us a perpetual motion machine. Please, if they were that wise, they'd look at Earth and be like, nah, let's skip this one. These people are clearly a mess. Didn't I just say that?
Yeah.
You ever think that just maybe we're in the Florida of the galaxy, huh? We're the place other civilizations fly by and go, whoa, look at those humans down there, and they're messing up their planet, fighting over nonsense like whether you should wear a mask during a global pandemic. Let's lock the doors and keep moving.
Oh, it's going to the next special.
This is great.
Oh, boy.
That's, I mean,
There
Lock
you
the
go.
gate.
you could picture yourself saying that. It did a
Yeah.
pretty good job.
Yeah, that was all very scary.
Sorry.
I feel like an alien just took my brain.
Dude,
That's
AI.
the alien. AI is the alien.
AI just became real for Marc Maron right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
just got real.
Inception.
I
That
mean, the
was
closer.
Inception.
Yeah, this is the singularity happening.
Maybe
What-
a little celestial Prozac to mellow us out was the dismount. And I'm like, come
That
on.
was it?
That was it.
Oh, man.
Telling
You're having Terminator for
Pretty good. I'm going to open with it tonight.
I'll forward it to you.
Man.
Thank you.
Helium Comedy Club tonight, 8 o'clock, and then 2 shows tomorrow, and then 2 shows on Friday. Mark, thank you so much for spending the time.
Great being here, you guys. I appreciate you having me.
Such an honor. Thank
it's
you.
an honor for you to
Thank you.
come in this early and hang out with us for, an hour now.
Yeah, well, now what do I do with the rest of my day, smart guy?
Go to Clementine's.
For breakfast?
Yeah, and lunch.
Yeah, man.
Ice cream for
I
breakfast.
got the good
always
vegan flavors.
vegan
Actually, you know
stuff.
what? It's not. It is lunch for us now.
Is it? I know, that's the weird thing. Back in the day with Morning Radio, don't you have sponsors that bring in full dinners?
Sometimes,
I
yeah.
stopped doing that.
At 9 a.m.
Couldn't eat brisket
Barbecue
at
at 9
9?
a.m. is what we usually get.
Right.
You know why? Because they
No
come
one
in,
eats it.
and of course I'd have to be polite.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd come and stare at you like,
Yeah,
"Would you like this?"
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really not hungry right now.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
You brought in like a 17,000 calorie whatever.
I know. At least I used to love it. It used to be the perk to morning radios when there was a bakery that used to just send stuff over.
Then when you start gaining a lot of weight,
I know,
and your metabolism ceases to exist,
Yeah.
and you're like, man, I'm getting fat. Why?
Yeah.
Because people are bringing in hamburgers
Yeah. Right.
with between 2 Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah, at 7 in the morning.
At 7 in the morning, and they're watching you eat them.
You guys got a gym deal? Where's the gym? You guys got a...
We got
There's
a
a
free one
gym
here.
downstairs across the street. It's kind of a crappy gym though. Like we all have
that's
gym
not
memberships.
good.
You're not really selling it.
Rouse-
It's not good. You
Rousing
go down there,
endorsement.
there's like bankers, and you don't want to work out with coworkers, right? Like you just
Right.
want to. To me, I want to get away from everyone
I
and
do.
like work out on my own.
Yeah.
I like to go down there in my American flag Speedo, do
You
deep
do?
squats in
See?
front of our station manager. Let him know.
Go do cycling. What do they got? A cycle class right over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Cycling.
yoga downstairs.
There's a stretch place down the street I want to go to, man.
Yeah,
That's all they
stretch
do.
place?
That's like my speed.
It's
They just stretch you
stretching?
out. That's it.
That's
You don't have-
nice.
No commitment.
Yeah.
Just get stretched and go on about your day.
And
What,
feel
just
like
lay
you
on a
did
table?
something?
I guess so. It's called Stretch You. That's all they do.
We could all go get stretched, then go get
Yeah,
pancakes
let's go
or something.
stretch.
I mean, I don't know. What do you
That'd
want
be
to do?
weird. I don't want to get stretched
What?
with you, honestly.
Oh, see?
No stretching?
No.
I stretch every day.
Do you?
Yeah. I exercise compulsively. It's ridiculous. I don't know what I'm...
Every
what I
day you
think
work
I'm-
out?
I exercise most days. Yeah, yeah, and I stretch, and I'm in pain all the time.
A lot of cardio?
Constantly. A lot of cardio. A few days a week. Go up this mountain by my house, straight up.
Weightlifting?
Bit of that. Bit of that. You
Like
know?
a home gym?
No, I don't really have a home gym. I got this trainer lady that was coming over during COVID, and I would train on my porch. And then I go to. She has an apartment gym. I don't know. Yeah, I constantly do it, and I can't stop. And
Porch fit.
Yeah, porch fit. That was me. I was the weird guy on his porch in the neighborhood. It was like,
Doing calisthenics.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
Was Dennis just giving you a thumbs up?
Yeah, that's right. I got new neighbors.
Drinking his
like
coffee?
Yeah. Weight guys out there. All right, guys. See
All
you
right,
later.
thank you. There he is, Marc Maron. All right, we're going to take one final break. We're going to come back, and we're going to wrap her up.